Hi there, I'm Peter Jevons, CEO of gther, a next-generation event experience software platforms provider. gther was born out of a strategic partnership with a market-leading brand design agency. And the platform itself has been designed together with that agency, so we really understand the needs of that market, and the solutions are designed to help agencies and brand-savvy marketeers within an organization to deliver meaningful and memorable events. The platform itself is used by a number of companies I'm sure you've heard of, some well-known brands, so Airbus, Disney, Raytheon, Genomics, and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. The global event management software market is projected to be just under $20 billion by 2029. That's been rising from just under $6 billion in 2019. So significant growth over a 10-year period. And that's part of the reason why so many companies play in that market. So you might be asking why launch another one into that market? Why is gther coming to market now? So we really strongly believe that as every company in the market runs some sort of events or webinars or training sessions, they need technology to help them deliver a better experience. And certainly the COVID pandemic, I think, has changed the way that people think about events for good. In many ways, it's very similar to the way we think about employees working in an office versus people working at home. It's very much a transformational activity. And we think we're very well placed to help organizations to be able to do that, to handle that change, that transformation. So, having worked in the software business for more than 30 years, I've seen a number of companies grow very rapidly. In fact, the CEO of one of my previous companies, Larry Ellison, used to say software companies need to grow fast or die slow. But there are certainly impacts I've seen over the years, you may have seen, the software companies that grow too quickly and they suffer some growing pains. And again, there's one company particularly you'll be familiar with, certainly in the events management space, with some well-publicized problems as they came back down to earth, having had a meteoric rise during the COVID pandemic. So the challenge with any Goliath in the software world is they can sometimes become a little bit inflexible in terms of their ability to work with you in a certain way, less agile. We often find that many of those companies grow rapidly through acquisition. So they build a portfolio of products that don't always integrate together, don't always work well together. And so again, it's more difficult to get to a high quality end-to-end solution. And certainly the gther platform is something that's been built from the ground up, working together with those agencies. And again, we know it meets the need and it fully satisfies that end-to-end process for an event experience lifecycle. So one of the factors that, again, when you're buying event management software, you might want to think about is how robust is your software provider. So if they've grown rapidly and they've fallen back down to earth, you just want to make sure that you're dealing with a company that's going to be around to support you in the future. So what's different about the gther solution? As I mentioned before, we're designed specifically to meet the needs of an agency, and an agency has a very specific set of requirements. I know again from my engagements with customers that some companies find that dealing with agencies is difficult, and I know some of the bigger software providers have shied away from working with agencies because they don't really understand that market. And that is a market very much that we believe we understand very well. We can help agencies to support their own needs in terms of the way they work, but also in terms of the way they engage with their customers, and help them to build meaningful long-term relationships and to be able to deliver value to those organizations. So our approach as gther to working with those agencies is to use what we call a clear methodology or framework. So we really support and embrace the idea of creativity. And many agencies want to be creative in terms of the way they engage with their customers. And we use technology to support that creativity. The other thing that's key is to be able to not just focus on the execution of the event, but the whole event lifecycle. So the way you invite people, the way they register, the way they get their badges printed if they're going to a physical event, the event itself when they're there, and the analytics they receive after that event. One of the other key areas for us is around engagement. So we very much want to use tools like the metaverse, like ChatGPT, whatever it may be, and the technologies to help engage and really, give people a great experience when they come to an event, be that physical, virtual, or a hybrid event. One of the other key considerations for events is obviously compliance. Some people call it, we call it adherence. Adherence is all about understanding how a company wants to deliver their sustainability goals. And virtual events obviously mean you don't need to fly people all around the world, so again they can be very sustainable. And there are lots of other ways of measuring sustainability and how a company is complying with that very important global need. And the other one is more the data protection, the data privacy, wherever you're doing that. And we've operated in some fairly complex markets already, areas like China, which their data compliance requirements are slightly more challenging than in some other geographies. And last but by not least, the final element is certainly the return on investment, or as we like to call it, the return on experience. So we work with our customers and we make sure that they measure value from their events and they're able to demonstrate the payback to their stakeholders. So we very much see ourselves as a David in the market, but we're looking forward to the opportunity to using our technology and those differentiators I mentioned to help to bring down 1 or 2 Goliaths during 2023.